Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. Hey Nikki. Okay, so in the 8th grade right now, or I'm in the 8th grade right now, and I feel like I need an image adjustment before I go into high school that I am most definitely going to be stuck in for 4 whole years. Most of the time I act like myself. Fun, crazy, weird, and still a bit shy, but sometimes I act like I did before when I didn't know any better. In elementary school, I was the girl who couldn't express her feelings, was so shy that she could barely speak a word or two in front of the class, acted like she hated boys because they're boys, and kicked the guys she really liked. When I hang around the people that knew me when I was in elementary school, I sort of act like I did back then, hating guys. It's annoying, especially when I sort of have a crush on a guy. I try to ignore them and act like I do now, but sometimes I can't and I act all weird. Any advice? Okay, so what you're describing is actually really, really common. It's common for, it's kind of like the reason, there's so many examples I could give here because it's so common. Like the reason why people who start dating really young and have like a longer term relationship from when they're young sometimes, like it's toxic and maybe they're, if it's toxic and maybe they're growing as a person to be a better person, that's good, but they can't still get out of that toxicness is because they're with this person who knew them as this like other person. I don't know if that's making any sense, or why sometimes when boys and girls, when they're in relationships and they go hang out with each other's family, they don't like that person around their family, because people tend to, like, as we grow up, as we mature, oftentimes if people are around other people who knew them when they were younger and more immature, because we're all more immature when we're younger, obviously, they can tend to revert to that because it's almost like this feeling of like that's the relationship that they knew with them, that's maybe what they were comfortable with them, or sometimes this feeling of like, well, that's how I have something in my this feeling of like that's how I have to act around them, and so they act that way around them. There's different reasons, but it's really common for people to revert to old behaviors around people who knew them when those behaviors were how they were all the time, if that makes sense. So that's the first thing, is you have to know that you're not alone, that it's really common like for that to happen. I've done it. I have groups of friends who like, they knew me maybe as more like chill and calm and quiet and shy, so like I don't want to bring out the side of me that's like crazy and spastic. And then I have other friends who know me as like so outgoing and crazy and kind of borderline ditzy that like I feel stupid if I'm trying to talk to them about like politics or anything like that, because they only know me as that one side, and it's not even necessarily conscious. That's the thing. Like, I get what you mean. It's just kind of something that triggers. But recognizing it is the first step, so you're on the right path. Honestly, I feel like my advice is going to be something that you kind of already know. I'd say when you're around them, just prep yourself beforehand, breathe, and remind yourself of who you are. Like, know the word, like sum yourself up kind of in some words. Like if I were to do this for myself, you know, when I was around these people now, I'm like fixing my hair. I haven't seen those people that I was talking about in a while where I get really spastic and crazy and I'm like, no, I'm not stupid, but I always act stupid around them. So when I'm around them, I might want to remind myself like Nicole, you are, oh, I thought there was a person outside my window and I'm on the 3rd floor, so that would have been weird. You are smart, creative, driven, intelligent. Like sum yourself up in some words and remind yourself, sorry, I was like feeling a pimple too. I'm so distracted. Sum yourself up in some words and remind yourself of who you are before going into that situation. Just kind of in your head really quick. I am fun. I am outgoing. I like people. Like remind yourself of who you are before going into that circumstance. It's really the only advice I can give you because there's no magic pill to like switch something. But just know it's common. Like that's the thing, guys, even though these letters are anonymous, none of these problems are something that only you are going through, because other people can watch it and relate, because even though the details and the characters and the stories might change, they always come down to common human themes that we all relate to, and we've all been there, you know, because there's no new emotions in humanity, and people who try to cover it up and act perfect, it's like, dude, we're all feeling the same thing. That was kind of a tangent. Anyways, okay, that's it. So send your messages to asknikkip@gmail.com, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. This thing and trusting friends thing is something that I have struggled with, like, a lot. I was really convinced, actually, until recently, in the last year or two, that girlfriends were just kind of something fun that you had, that it wasn't like a necessity to have really close girlfriends.